What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Coast to Coast. I'm Ronan Gaine. Joining me, as always, Chris Nambu. We are right in the depths in the middle of the first round of the playoffs, and it's actually become more interesting than maybe we thought. Obviously, we talked last week about some sweeps that were going to happen. Only one of them actually came through, and the other one is all tied up right now. The Pistons and Magic, that looked like it could be a massive upset where the 8 seed might take down the 1 seed. The Knicks, they've decided they wanted to be better than the Hawks again. The Rockets and Lakers, that's still just about going. There's lots to get into, but before we get into it all, Chris, how you doing, man?
Good man, I'm good. Finally coming out of this stretch of work here, catching up on some basketball. We have some fake nice weather here, not quite yet. I'm still I'm still a little bit in shell shock. I just came from California and I'm just waiting to get some weather like that. It might be a couple months, but playoffs have been good to us, man. They have been delivering. And you started off with the surprises there. I think we should just start off by saying I'm sorry, Toronto. I apologize. Mi culpa. They have done great there. I'm sure we'll touch on them soon, but man, that was a big surprise there. We've had surprises everywhere, really, but that had to start off with an apology. I'll start there.
I think that's the right place to start. We were both pretty out on that. We were both ready to crown Cleveland the winners of that series, and the Raptors have really showed up in a big way on their home floor. They did what they had to do. They got 2 wins on their home floor, and now they're back in Cleveland tonight to see what they can do with that. Before we get into the series that are still ongoing, let's just quickly mention the Spurs took care of business against the Trailblazers. They easily won that game that Wemby did not play, and then Wemby returned for the last 2 games of the series, and Portland obviously didn't have any sort of hope once that happened. And of course, OKC completed the sweep against the Phoenix Suns, which again, absolutely no surprise there. Spurs and OKC, we kind of knew they were very heavy favorites there, the two favorites to come out of the Western Conference. So seeing them take care of business, no real surprise there.
Let's say one part here though. Uh, what level of worry do we have for Jalen Williams if he say out for the next round?
I mean, it's kind of hard to say because they've kind of been without them all year, and they didn't really miss him in this series. I know it's the
Hmm.
Phoenix Suns, but they're getting production from guys like your Asia Mitchells, your Jared McCain's. They're finding ways to kind of cover up for the scoring that he does. But I'm always going to want a guy that's capable of scoring the ball the way he is to be on the floor. But it's really hard to gauge what sort of level of warrior there is right now.
Yeah. I guess I just wondering if I think we've kind of assumed to this point that the Lakers should complete. Now that the Rockets have avoided total embarrassment, but if it is the Lakers, I don't think we have a timetable yet for Luca. Um, but in a world in which you get this Lakers team who has found their level of playoff defense and some shot making will return with Austin Reeves, should make it a little bit more interesting if they are going to have to go without J Dub in this one. They're shooting 36.3% now from three. I think that the biggest thing is the shot creation that you'd miss there, but I'm curious. It'll make it
Yeah,
more
you
interesting
hope.
at least.
Yeah, I mean the Lakers need to have something in that series, or else it'll be over just as quickly as the Sun series. So maybe that'll give the Lakers a chance to at least make the games competitive. But I can't. I still would give them almost maybe a 5% shot of even winning 2 games in that series. I just don't see.
Well, as you know, when we doubt teams here, they tend to do pretty well. So, good luck. We'll see.
Let's go to one of the most surprising series, maybe the most surprising series of the playoffs so far. The Detroit Pistons and the Orlando Magic. They're obviously playing right now. We're recording here on Wednesday evening. The Pistons look like they're going to take care of business on their home floor and pull that back to 3-2. But like how have they got to this point where they're 3-1 down against the 8 seed Magic?
I mean, it's still very simple, honestly. Like we talked about it last time with that embarrassing game one loss. You can see easily how they're defending this. They're playing gaps on the wings and on the corner. They're always stunning to the middle. They're pinching the pick and roll. When you want to get that patented pick and roll empty side with Cade, it's very simple. They just zone out one guy to the other end of the floor, and they're showing three defenders. They're blitz in the middle. They're just being very aggressive on Cade on the pick and roll, bringing extra help. They're not letting Duran get to his spots. Wendell Carter Jr. it really still continues to look like a perfect matchup for this guy. Um, and Duran just hasn't gotten it going. So it's really tough for Cade to get it going. I think he's getting a lot of, I think, somewhat unfair criticism. He had one bad game, and it's tough for that guy with the load that he has on his shoulders to continue creating with the amount of help defenders that the Magic can bring. And a lot is on Cade just to, hey, just try to make it through this thicket of defenders and not lose the ball. It's a pretty tall task. So the problem that they have still not solved is how can we get downhill when the Magic are bringing an extra defender in the lane? How can we get Jalen Duren to his spots? How can we get him rolling? You know, we've seen him try to slip these screens, and then all that does is not really create an advantage for Cade because he's not getting great contact on those screens. He's still not really getting to the rim. So there's still some questions that have not been answered as to how they're answering this Magic defensive approach.
No, I mean it's been really incredible. This is an absolute bar fight from the start. This is not a series to watch if you're a fan of modern basketball. If you're a purist, do not watch the Magic against the Pistons because it is just an absolute battle. Like you look at the shooting percentages both teams. The Pistons are at 42% in the series, 27.5% from deep, 73% from the line, and the Magic slightly worse than the field goal percentage, 39% from the field, 31% from three, and 75% from the free throw line. Like it has just been an absolute brawl, and there's been moments where the Pistons look like they're not going to let the Magic score. There's some of the rim protection that we've seen from the Pistons has been fantastic. Jalen Duren has had moments where he looks like Wemby when he's protecting the rim, but then he's also getting into foul trouble, and that's obviously hurting him, and that's like giving him less time on the floor. But like we talked about before, just like you mentioned, Cade and creating and the pressure on him, but now we're seeing him get the moments where he doesn't want to create anymore, and he's just like, I just have to do it myself because I don't trust the guys around me to hit a shot, whether they're being contested or whether they're wide open. The shooting for the Pistons is just been a real problem.
Yeah, and I mean that's just the focal part. It's not too interesting. It's not in depth. You haven't really been able to peel back a great rebuttal yet. We'll see what Bickerstaff brings up in this game here. If it's just more of the same, like let's just play our style and play harder. We'll see where we go from there. But they can't answer that with shooting. They don't have a counter. Bias Harris has still continued to shoot poorly. But I I think the interesting part of this is how Jalen Duren has continued to struggle. I think I predicted he would play through it and he would find his groove and he would get to that point. But I mean, he still had a lot of trouble. I think the Magic are particularly equipped to give him that trouble. But hey, man, he's in the midst of contract negotiations. It's kind of tough. It's tough to predict how this will impact that, especially in today's market and how teams have to decide how to team build with how many max guys you can really survive having on a team. And it'll be tricky to come to the table and say, yes, I'm your secondary guy. I'm Cade's running mate. With this kind of performance, he's still only 22. It's still just his second playoff series, but the deficiencies have been glaring, especially for a guy like him who is an all-star, who played as well as he did throughout the regular season, and to be just completely taken out of the equation the way he has.
Yeah, and like let's not rule out the idea that the Pistons can come back from this. Like crazier things have happened in the NBA. This is still the one seed against the A seed. But like just think about the way like the narratives have changed here. Going into this series, it was all about like Mosley's job is done. He's lost his job. This is like
Mm-hmm.
it. No one believed in the Magic whatsoever. And now all of a sudden they're up 3-1 against the Pistons. And then on the Pistons side of it, they're like, okay, easy pass through the first round. K can kind of get back up to speed in this series, and then he'd be good to go by the time they get to the second round. And instead now there's already rumors going around about how the Pistons are going to go star hunting this season. So they're almost like accepting that they're going to lose.
Oh
They're
man,
going
I
to lose
hate it,
this
man.
series.
I hate it, man. They haven't even finished the series. They're like,
Yeah,
oh well,
like
hey,
it's
Lakers
insane.
Nation. If they're having doubts, we should make it. Like, come on, guys. Like, Let's let the series be over at least. Like it's crazy. It's fair to think about. It is.
It's just it's been so crazy, and like honestly, it's kind of a sign to me that maybe I know we always talk about how much better the West is than the East, but at the same time, the Eastern Conference is throwing up far more interesting playoff battles across the board compared to the Western Conference. Western Conference, we know it's top heavy. Maybe it has like the three best players in the league, but in terms of like all around competitiveness, you can make the argument that the East is actually better. Is that a crazy thing to say?
It is. It is. It absolutely is. I mean, if you threw the Portland Trailblazers, I think that they would be making the same effort against the Pistons. If you threw in the Phoenix Suns, I think that they would be making the same amount of noise. I think that those two teams at the bottom of the West could be replicating what the Magic are doing here. I think the Magic are. They do deserve their flowers for the type of defense that they can bring, and that's that kind of defense we expected to make them as good as they are now and how good that they should have been throughout the whole season. But I mean, let's be honest, man. The Blazers and the Suns had no chance because the top of the West is. I think that it's not exposing the Pistons is tough to say because they earned the right to win 60 games. Absolutely did. I think the concern about the shooting was real, and you can't play the kind of defense that you're necessarily playing in a 7-game series throughout an entire season. You really can't. But we're seeing we're seeing how much of a problem that is for them right now, and that's just not something that the top of the West really has.
That's fair. That's fair. I will just say that like this is the Orlando Magic exposing their lack of shooting. I know that's not all that there is going on in this series, but just thinking about that really makes me believe that even if the Pistons can somehow how pull off the 3-1 comeback, I don't think they're going any further in the playoffs, even in the East.
That I mean, it's fair. How many teams have the level of defenders up and down the roster like the Magic do?
No,
I
that's
think
fair.
that the physical athletes that they have that can stunt off the wing and recover back and put up a good contest. The type of athletes that doesn't matter if Jalen Duren gets a deep catch because you got to deal with all three guys swarming and he's not going to push them out of the way and they're going to block him behind. Like the kind of defense that the Magic can put up is, I mean, that's their calling card. That's really that's the one punch that they got. That's the one punch they got. They're not going to beat you with their offense. I mean, even with the Pistons leaving them open, it's not like the Magic are rediscovering themselves offensively. Like they're still putting up stinkers. They're just defending the crap out of a team that can't shoot.
It's putting up less stinkers than the Pistons. That's really what it did. That's why people are like, oh, do we like sleep on the Magic? No, no, no. The
No.
Magic are still just as awful shooting the ball as they always have been. They're still struggling to consistently create offense, but we maybe just forgot about just how good their
Yeah.
defense is capable of being.
I think we can see too that they have more creators. Like you can rely on Desmond Bain to try and create from the perimeter. You can rely on a few bursts from Jalen Suggs to play in the open court and to be a great slasher off the ball. You can give the ball to Banchero and for Franz get well soon. Like they have optionality there. Does it always lead to clean offense? No, it doesn't. But I mean, they have just more options. I think that's the trouble for the Pistons is they don't have a lot of guys who you throw in the ball after your action's dead and say, "Hey, please try to create something here." There's just not a lot there. And hey, Dennis Jenkins has been a great find here for this team for a rotation guy, but I mean, he's not done much here either. I mean, it's a lot. If you're on Pistons Twitter, you know that a lot of Pistons Twitter is like, hey, how good could this guy actually be? And it's like I think he's a good player, but he's not an answer.
It's another example of just how different the regular season and the playoffs are. Like they're two just completely different beasts. But like shout out to this series, final point on it, for the wholesome moment of the playoffs so far. I think seeing Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. in the crowd supporting Desmond Bain the other night, that was awesome to see.
Yeah, it was awesome. And the last point on it, dunk of the playoffs for sure. Dunk
But
of
yeah,
at least this
Kane.
calendar year.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, who the hell is this guy? And the guy was jumping out of the gym that whole game, like he was jumping up like 10 feet to get rebounds and stuff as well.
He had to put back like 3 plays later. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that guy is a serious Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say he should be starting for the Magic, or he probably won't even play in this game. But the athleticism of that guy was there for everyone to see. Shall we stay in the East? Shall we talk some Celtics and 76ers?
Yeah, apparently no one can close out at home. Celtics, I feel like notoriously have done this in their past, and it looked like a game that they were going to close out. They're up by double digits, the third, building lead, and Embiid has this as knee scare halfway through the game, and they did a lot of things in the fourth quarter that I think it's worth mentioning. I think getting to the patented game that they can get to with Embiid, the way that they can spread the floor around him, force a double, and then get the defense in rotation. Just very easy basketball from that standpoint. The way that the Maxi is bending the defense on a high screen and roll, and then you got Embiid kind of trailing there that he gets to his sweet spot. That's not easy to defend. It's very easy basketball. It's something that they can get to, and it's something that they can create offense with, and they got themselves rolling. And meanwhile, the Celtics, they did not have their shot falling. Derek White continues to, struggle. I mean, it was a lot easier last year when you had guys like Drew Holiday, you had guys like KP. I mean, KP's not playing a ton of minutes, granted, but when he's on the floor, you just had more optionality. And there's a lot more pressure on Derek White. He had a great season, but you saw he didn't quite have the shooting season that he's had before. It's showing a bit here in the playoffs. And you get a little bit, again, your turn, my turn, when you need to close out a game. And Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they didn't have it going in the fourth. But I don't know if this is not necessarily signaling to me that they close out the series right away. It may go to 7 in Boston, but I think the 76ers, they didn't find something. This is just something that they have. They can continue to create this type of offense. I still think that the top of the talent here is still for the Celtics. The Celtics still have the better talent. They still have more creation out of those two guys, but it's not going to be easy if Embiid's going to be healthy.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's still with Boston. The 3-point shot is just everything for their team because they just take so many of them. Like in the games that they've won, 24 makes, 20 makes, 16 makes. The two games they've lost, they've gone 13 of 50 and 11 of 39. Like if their shot is falling, they win. That's literally the feeling that I have, and that's what is probably that could ultimately take them through all the way to the NBA Finals. Maybe their shooting can be that good, and they can get up to that level. And like that, this series is just another example of that. They always know how much emphasis Joe Mazzulla puts on the 3-point shot, and this series is absolutely showing it. But on Embiid, like yeah, again another really great game for him. 33 points, 52% from the field. Also had 8 assists, and this is him playing at 50, 75%. Like imagine is the only time we ever saw Embiid play at 100%. That run of a couple of years ago when he was averaging more points per game than he was minutes per game. Like, just imagine what this guy could be if he was ever going to be healthy. I'm not saying he's going to be healthy. I'm not saying we should still hope for that. But, like, it's just, he truly is going to be in the conversation for the greatest, like, what if in NBA history.
Yeah. I love what he had to say about it, man. He was like, on coming back early, he's like, I don't know how much basketball I have left to play. I mean, this guy is very acutely aware and open discussing his basketball mortality. For him to put up a game like this when it mattered and keep the Sixers in this series, just hat off to him, man. A lot of respect for him.
Yeah, and I hope they can keep it rolling. If Boston has another bad shooting night in Philly, then we could see a game 7 here. I mean, it should be in terms of like the talent. I know Boston are a little bit better, but Boston are also not as good as they once were. Where they got rid of a lot of key players in their team. So like, it wouldn't be crazy to see this go to 7. I just think if Boston show up in Philly, I think on Thursday night, and their shot is falling, I just don't see Philly being able to compete with them.
Yeah, I think it's gonna have to be VJ having a good game. If Embiid is gonna continue to play like this, Boston does not have a great answer in the paint. They're gonna have to send 2. I think they know where they're going to want to send it from. And if the ball is swinging over to VJ, he's got to have a game like he had, I believe it was a game 2 in Boston. And I think he's got to be confident with that shot. He's got to put it down. And if he is, I mean, that's when you're surrounding Embiid with the shooters that he has, especially guys who can attack closeouts the way they have. And shout out Grimes. I mean, Grimes had a great game. they will have a chance. This is going to be a great. I think this could go to 7, and
I hope so. I hope so.
unless Embiid goes down again, or unless we see that their shooters not playing well. I think that they're going to repeat this formula. Boston doesn't have an answer for it right now, unless they want to just let the 76ers shoot and play the math game, expect that their shooters are better.
Yeah, and that could very well be the way that it goes. So let's talk about a series that I hope doesn't go to 7 games, and that's the Knicks and the Hawks. I mean, thankfully the Knicks have just remembered that they are a better team than the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, those 2 games that they lost, both by a single point. First one, they had a lead and they just completely blew it. Again, they had a shot to win it, didn't make it. Game two, they fell behind by 20 plus points, fought all the way back, had the game in their hands, were up 3, and they let it slip yet again. And then we just got down to business. We kind of realized we were really under pressure in the last 2 games. The Knicks have been all business, and really that defense that we saw the second half of the season has really stepped up. And hopefully, with the game last night, Jalen Brunson has got back in his groove, because I know he was still putting up the numbers before last night's game, but he wasn't really playing well. So hopefully, last night kind of set him right on the right path again.
Yeah, finally, it must be a breath of fresh air to see him have a comfortable game. He has not looked comfortable. I mean, who's going to look comfortable against Dyson Daniels for like 30 minutes a night? Who's honestly. But shout out to Brunson, but I think I want to start talking about Cat, man. I think Cat's had a great series, and
Cat is playing the best defense of his career in this series.
yes, that can't be understated. Um, and I think too, him as a playmaker, playing him up on the wing, and the type of actions that they're getting off of Anunoby and Brunson from the corners has been really tough for the Hawks to figure out. And Anunoby, I mean, dude, he's been so key for them, so key. Offensively, obviously, him just being a lights out shooter from the corners, the drives that he has from there, flashing to the dunker spot, and the fact that the Hawks have not been able to like sort out that switch because they really don't want to, which is weird for me. This is what's weird for me. The Hawks are a team that I think is more equipped than, I mean, everyone except for maybe the Raptors. It's really just switch everything. And I know that your goal is to keep Brunson uncomfortable, but I think that everyone should just have their shot. Just give him different looks. Just concede the switch, help on drives if you need to. But I think that was what was giving them a lot of problems, that they did not switch when Brunson's trying to do a down screen on Anunoby, and you have a couple of questionable decisions defensively from Kuminga. But kudos to the Knicks for figuring something out and letting Jalen Brunson play a little bit more off the ball, letting other guys play make for him, and initiate action so that Brunson's not just absolutely just dog tired at the end of this game as he's just being pestered up the court. Yeah, hats off to Catman, not just on the defensive end, but making great passes, making smart drives at the right times, not forcing anything. And you saw it. I mean, he's not averaging like 30 a game. It's this all around game. He's playing defense. He's being active on the boards, using his size, and being a great passer.
Yeah, no, like I have so much respect for what he's done, and I started to look at this series even earlier in the series when they were losing the games, and I feel like it's definitely more of a Mike Brown thing than a Cat thing for why he's maybe not been at the same level this year. Like there's times where he was getting really hot in like the third quarter of games, and then Mike Brown would just take him out. I'm kind of like, why are you doing this? Do you like not want him to be like the lead guy in the team or something? There's been some Brown has made some questionable decisions throughout the season, and more so we've very like noticeable ones throughout this playoff series so far. But I think he's settled down, and it feels like the team, the coaching staff as a whole, has figured some stuff out, and they figured out how to make Atlanta uncomfortable, and most importantly how to make CJ McCollum uncomfortable, and that's obviously putting the series in the Knicks' hands again.
Yeah, they're not letting CJ cook the way he was before. Without his offense there, they're clearly not figuring things out. And, Jalen Johnson is starting to get a little bit more comfortable with his drives, but still not getting into the balance that we've seen throughout the whole season. Maybe this is a common theme. You see, Jalen Duren not able to get to the same type of play that he's got to throughout the regular season. Same thing with Jalen Johnson. Two young guys who have not had that deep playoff experience yet. And I think it'll come. I think that maybe this is not the series where the Hawks surprise everyone, they advance, they make this run, but it's a big learning lesson for their young guys. Um, I think one thing that's surprising for me is that Reece Shea has just at this point disappeared. They're trying Kispert, they're trying Gabe Vincent. Where's their number one pick? Like, where's this guy in the mix? I mean, a guy who we know he can stretch the floor. He's that adds to the switchability of this defense. It's a bit of a head scratcher for me to see him not on the floor at all. At least trying to get him minutes.
Yeah, no, it's obviously a very weird situation. He just kind of seems to just fallen completely off the face of the earth. You'd forget that he was on the roster, and you'd certainly forget that he was a number one overall pick back in just 2024. But you mentioned Jalen Johnson. I haven't wanted to talk about it the whole time I'm watching this series because I'm obviously petrified that the second I mention it, he's going to step up and have a big game. But like he really just hasn't taken over games the way we saw he was doing in the regular season, and he doesn't look like he wants to either. He looks kind of hesitant out there in terms of everything when it comes to the shot and it comes to making the drive, it comes to making a pass. He just doesn't feel
Yeah,
as assured of himself as we saw throughout the regular season.
yeah. I think it's two. That one, it's definitely in his head. He's not making the same quick decisions. He's not making quick passes. That the reads feel a step slow. Step slow is absolutely everything when half a second matters in terms of the defense getting reset and that angle closing out, and he just is not doing that in the half court. I think too in regular season, you can run a lot. You can run. There's a lot of fast break. There's a lot of early
Knicks have
offense.
finally stopped that. They
Yeah,
stopped the
exactly,
fast break, and look what
exactly.
happens. We win.
The Knicks are playing better defense. They're getting back. They're picking up guys. There's not a lot of cross matching. They're making sure that that's priority. And the rebounding is just man tough. That the Hawks are throughout a 7 game series. They were not going to be the better rebounding team than the Knicks. The Knicks have stronger rebounders. They have better size, and that's been a problem for the Hawks. They've not been able to get to the offense they want to because I think throughout the regular season they can get out, they can run, they can have Jalen Johnson get down these lanes and spray out and get their shooters active and get defenses already in early rotation. That's just not something that they're able to reproduce here in this series.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously, like you said, it's still like a learning curve. Obviously, it's not over yet, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. The Knicks still have to take care of business
Yes.
in Atlanta tomorrow night, and hopefully they will. We don't need the pressures of a game 7. The Knicks just have to continue to do the things they've been doing over the last 2 games, and they'll be able to get the job done in Atlanta. But yeah, moving forward, yeah, again, when it comes to the Knicks, like, it's gonna be interesting to see them go up against likely Boston again. I'm not gonna speak too soon on that, but it's gonna be interesting to see how that series goes. If what we probably both kind of imagine and most people would predict right now comes through, and the Knicks close out Atlanta and the Celtics eventually close out Philly, see if it can go the same way as last year. If the Knicks are still the team that can really make Boston the most uncomfortable. Should we get to the most interesting series of the Eastern Conference? The Cavs
Which
and the
one is that?
Raptors.
Yes. I'll apologize again. I'm sorry, Toronto. I'm sorry. They looked just absolutely dead, totally dead. And the classic saying that's as old as time is it's not a series until someone loses at home. And no one has lost at home yet, is now tied 2-2. And it wasn't because Brandon Ingram just all of a sudden woke up and is this otherworldly scorer. It's because the Raptors defense finally showed up. And the Cavs did not. The type of low scoring performances that you saw from the Cavs is not something that's been characteristic for them this season. And you see it on paper, the type of defenders they can throw out there. They can truly switch 1 through 5, and you don't see Evan Mobley being super comfortable in there. And I want to shout out Colin Murray Boyles, the rookie
Yeah,
who, again, just scratch our heads at his fit there, but a guy who really can go toe to toe with true bigs like Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. One, the strength to box them out. Two, the quick twitch to actually jump up and contest with those rebounds. Three, that the strength and the handle to actually get downhill, at least challenge them. He's not finishing strongly, but he is at least pressuring the rim at times there. The way he's playing in the open court, the passes he's made, like he's just doing all little things for a rookie. Defensively too, the way that he's really pressured the ball on the perimeter and also been a force on the boards and protecting the rim, it's been really just a joy to watch. Everything that you saw in the scouting report for him coming into this league and now seeing it in a playoff setting is it's cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously not many of the rookies from the class are playing in the playoffs, but like he's been arguably the standout. He's been a steady contributor. Obviously, didn't have like the big time game like we saw from VJ Edgecombe that game two in Boston, but he's just been a really like steady contributor in every game so far for the Raptors, and been a big part of those two wins that they got in Toronto. He's been really impressive. He was a guy you talked up from the start, but watching him in this series, I've been really impressed.
Yeah. And Raptors get in the game, and like they will play in the mud, and they will make things tough. They will force a low scoring game, and I think that war of attrition is what they are winning on right now. We'll see how the Cavs respond at home, but they just did not look themselves. They were not getting Raptors in rotation. They were not getting all these off ball actions to give them any easy looks, and we've not seen any crazy end of game heroics that you'd expect from Mitchell.
Yeah, absolutely, and obviously James Harden is throwing out a couple of Jamesy Harden. That's the thing that's always leveled against him when he gets to the playoffs. He tends to not be the same player we see in the regular season. So we'll see if that continues. Yeah, just like obviously, I haven't actually said it. You've already said it, but I have to apologize to the Raptors. Also, I was ready to call time of death on them, but they have found their way back into this series. Max Strus is actually coming into the starting lineup for Cleveland tonight. They've announced that he's going to replace Dean Wade. So it'll be interesting to see if he can have a similar impact as a starter as he was having off the bench in this series.
Yeah, I mean they just need to shoot better. They need to shoot better. Um, and I think the thing that they have to win is the interior. They have to win the interior. They are a bigger team. Evan Mobley has to step up to that. He can't get bullied around by a 6'8" big, and it has to be as simple as that. Like you got to keep the game simple when you're way more talented than this team. You can't let it be this slog fest, and you also can't let the Raptors get in the open court. Like the only way that the Raptors are scoring is in the open court, and I expect that maybe this is just a point of growth for this team, just to sort it out against this Raptors squad that is pressuring them to this point, but not a great look. I mean, you as we're looking across the board here, who's going to challenge the West? And it, we don't have to get into that. We don't have to go that far, but they've shown some they've shown that they're not able to really put the nail in the coffin there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they bounce back tonight and then can close it out when they go on the road. Uh, yeah, I'm interested to see the reaction from Cleveland. It feels like there's kind of a shock to everyone and themselves that they gave up those two games in Toronto. So it's going to be really interesting to see if they can get back on course tonight. They get that shot falling. It's good. They're them and the Pistons are kind of both falling victim to the same thing. They're both getting taken down to their opponent's level in a big way. I think it's time to go out west. I only got two series to talk about. There's only two series that are still going on, and everyone in Lakers Nation will be hoping that it's only one series still going after tonight when they take on the Rockets in Game 5 back in LA. It seems like it's still going to be without Austin Reeves. He was a game time decision on Sunday, wasn't feeling right, still unconfirmed whether or not he's going to play tonight. But the Lakers are up 3-1. Surely to God, they can't blow this, right?
Well, let's talk about the Rockets bounce back. Let's talk about the Rockets bounce back. Another team that we were. I mean, I didn't want to call them dead because I was hoping that things would get better for him, and we called out the fact that hey, game two, why did he play 11 minutes? He went from 36 to 11. Yeah, sure, the minutes didn't look great, but who else is shooting for you? And he played 40, 40 something minutes, 46. Am I incorrect? Is that a typo? In game three. Uh, um, No, Reed Shepard.
Oh, Reed Shepard. Sorry,
Reed
sorry, sorry.
Shepard. So it's almost like they heard us talking about it and they get some more minutes and you get the result you want. Okay, no. But then you go into the next game, still playing 30 minutes, and he had a fantastic game. Just 17 points, sure, another 17 points. But you see it jump off the screen when you have a guy who's actually able to, actually play good pick and roll. He's actually creating pressure from the perimeter. He's a guy who can get to a pull up jump shot. And maybe there's issues defensively, but I mean, shout out to them making that adjustment, and shout out to them winning.
Is their shot maker?
Yes. Shout out to them getting this win in Game 4 without Kevin Durant. They survived. They did not get swept.
They got to do it in Game 5 because Kevin Durant remains out.
The worst case scenario will not be showing up here, which still felt like a worst case scenario coming into the series is losing the first round. Still is on the table. But do we feel like the Rockets showed something?
That they showed something?
Is there something here? Are they dead?
I mean, I don't know because like we again in that game 4 we kind of saw the bad side of the Lakers that we haven't seen so far in this series. LeBron obviously, I don't know, it was feeling like a sort of typical LeBron game where the shot wasn't falling early, but he was getting to the line and making all his free throws. And I feel like they usually go hand in hand. When he has a bad shooting night, he often ends up somehow like 12 of 12 from the free throw line, even though he's historically not a very good free throw shooter. That's how it started to look, and then the game just got completely away from the Lakers, turning it over like crazy. I think they had like 22 turnovers, the starters, and then probably a few more once the bench guys got in. Could not hit a shot to save their lives. And like that's just all the stuff that's been leveled at the Lakers all season, and the worry that I think everyone had going into the series without Reeves and Doncic, if they were going to turn the ball over and if their shooting was not going to be there, and that's what we saw in Game 4. And obviously, like I mentioned to you last week, I was terrified when I saw that stat that LeBron James has never lost a series when he's gone up 2-0. And now I'm obviously terrified that the narrative is completely flipped from, yeah, LeBron's getting one last like playoff win as the lead guy on his team, and now it's going to switch to LeBron blows a 3-0 lead for the first time ever, and he needs to retire now.
I mean, it's going to happen eventually, right? I don't think it's going to happen here. I mean, you saw the magic die down for Kennard and for Marcus Smart in Game 4 as a defensive intensity stepped up for the Rockets. But that's what they need to do, man. That's what we haven't seen yet, is we haven't seen the disruptive defense from the Rockets suffocate a Lakers team who doesn't have a lot of creation, right? Like you got LeBron James, sure. You cannot let Marcus Smart and Luke Kennard be these other creators that are actually damaging your team. Like that just shouldn't happen. We'll see if this starts to normalize, if the Lakers are running out of answers for offense. We know that they can really neuter the Rockets defensively, and they'll continue to struggle in that regard without Kevin Durant. I don't think that the Lakers give up that many turnovers again. They could, but I mean that's a recipe for Rocket successes. If they can turn the other team over, it's just going to be very easy open.
Limit the turnovers themselves. Like there's been a lot of moments in this series as well where they've been turning the ball over like crazy. Like honestly, it's been such a key factor in this series. Like the winner, whoever turns the ball over less, has been able to kind of gain the advantage. Obviously, the games were obviously tighter than the ones that the Lakers won compared to the blowout that we saw on Sunday. But like the turnover battle is crucial here, and kind of taking care of the ball and getting shots up and not having to worry about giving up points in transition is definitely hugely important for both of these teams.
Yeah. I think it's simple stuff for the Rockets that, again, it's crazy that they're at this point. They're already staring over the edge, the heels off the cliff, that they have to even fight to this point against a team that I still think they're better than. But if they're limiting their own turnovers, they're getting back to the type of defense to create offense with their defense. I think that's a recipe they can continue to replicate. Obviously, a lot of that comes down to if Luke Kennard has another great game, if Marcus Smart has another great game, if they find someone else as Rui, can he wake up, have a game, Ayton have a game? Because the Lakers have options on offense that I think that they can go to. But I think the Rockets, if they can wake up, they can look at themselves in the mirror and be like, we are the better team. We just don't have to turn the ball over. We're just that much better defensively. Like I think it still just is surreal to me that you look at this team that they were down 3-0. I think that they're so much better than them in terms of how much defensive pressure they can put on this team and turn them over and create in the open court with that level of defense. I think that they're that talented, but they just hadn't done it until they waited 4 games to show up that level of intensity.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, we have to wait for Bronny James to maybe step up as well. Did you see that? I saw that stat going around the other day that Bronny James has more playoff points than Zion and LaMelo Ball.
Oh my god!
And also all the stuff on Twitter and stuff where like when like the Lakers won by like 5 points in Game 3, LeBron James had 5 points. So they like LeBron literally had to have sex for them to get this win.
I don't know how to move on from that.
Well, I can confirm to you that we are getting the Cade versus Banchero show in Detroit tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Cade 27 points, Banchero 22 points, Pistons up 6. So the game is still on there.
The crazy part here is it's 66-60 at halftime. Both teams might score over triple digits. That would be the big win here. That might be the big win here. We'll see where that goes. In the West, I think we gotta talk about Ayo Dosunmu, man. Let's talk about some Minnesota
final series we gotta talk about, and yeah, let's get to the positives first before we have to talk about the unfortunate negatives of this series. Ayo, let's go.
Yeah, well, I mean the negatives with it set the scene perfectly, man. It's you see. Just the vibe of that game is okay. The Timberwolves, you just felt the crowd in it. You felt the intensity, and then as soon as you see DiVincenzo go down, like there's just this air that's sucked out of the arena. I mean, he's been so good this series. You know what he means to them, and then you see Ant go down, and it's like that's it. Like, how can we compete against Jokic and Murray and the Nuggets? How are we going to do this? And I'll tell you how. Chicago-born Ayo Dosunmu steps up, has the best game of his career. And, I mean, he was everything they needed that game. He was hitting threes, he was directing the offense, he's getting downhill. Like, he was getting the paint whenever he wanted. He looked so comfortable. He was getting to his floater when they were rotating over on him. Like, he just had such great control of that game. And, I mean, what a heroic moment, man. Like, you gotta, like, put a bookmark in that game as one of the special moments of the playoffs. No matter what happens from here, the fact that all the chips are down, and he showed up. This guy that they picked up in the offseason that the Bulls couldn't get a dime for, and actually, we got.
They traded for him. They traded for him.
No, what I'm saying is the Bulls got nothing for him. The Bulls got nothing for him.
The second round picks, man. One of them could turn into Jokic. Who knows?
All right, don't get me started there. But just incredible for one. This is the payoff for the front office to have gone out and got their guy. It's moments like this that the GM's got to live for, man. It's like who can we pick up out there? Someone's gonna have a game. Someone's got to have a game when Ant's either doesn't have it going, or I mean, God forbid, you have a moment like this where he's out. Hopefully, he comes back soon. But man, just really stepped up. See Jaden McDaniels step up as well. They couldn't close it out in that last game against the Nuggets, but they get a couple more chances at it. And all it takes a Randall game, maybe takes another Ayo game. But on the flip side of things, man, like all the heroics side that the Timberwolves showed, that the absolute guts that they had to win and win big despite losing Anthony Edwards and DiVincenzo in that game, the Nuggets just don't look like the Nuggets this whole series, man. That Jokic has had his moments where he has looked rushed, where he hasn't looked polished. He hasn't looked super aggressive. The times where he's looked overly aggressive did not look good there as well. Obviously, he's best player in the world. He's still going to get his. He's still going to put out the stats that he's been putting out. You can argue with me with box scores and all that, but he's not had the same impact. And I think as a whole, defensively, it's tough when you don't have Aaron Gordon out there, sure, and Peyton Watson. That's two of their elite defenders. But as a team, have not looked dominant defensively like you've expected them to.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Like Rudy Gobert, like people got to give him more credit. Like people try to slam Rudy Gobert so often, but like the job that he's doing on Jokic in the playoffs, and just the job that the Wolves as a whole, as a team, defensively are doing to limit Jokic and have everyone literally saying that this is his worst stretch of games in like forever. Like that's just like credit to Chris Range, credit to the Wolves, and it's like just another example of why the Timberwolves have been able to go so deep in the playoffs over the last few years. This is the team built for the postseason. They have a coach who's very, very adept and very, very capable, knows how to poke at the weaknesses of opponents, and knows how to really kind of big his team up and set his team up to win games on a nightly basis, mid game. Like this is just another example of just how good a coach Chris Finch is.
I think it's really hilarious though that we are talking about it to this point. We're like, oh, he's had a pretty bad series, and he's nearly averaging a triple double. But I mean, you see it on
Usually
the
doing
court.
that, shooting 60% from the field and 45% from three.
Yeah, yeah. But at least this time he's shooting 44% from the field, and this is his worst time shooting from three. But obviously, bounce back in Game 5. We'll see if they pull out the 3-1 deficit here. They have the talent for it. I don't think Gordon's going to be coming back soon. I think they're going to try and rest him.
Again, it obviously wasn't as bad as when he tried to play that Game 7 with the torn hamstring last year. But that game that he tried to come back for, he was a liability out on the floor. Like he had no lateral movement. Didn't really have the ability to jump or anything like that. There was really no point in him being out there.
Yeah, it's tough to project what this team could look like if Gordon doesn't make some special recovery, because we know that the hamstring is going to continue to be an issue for him. But tough. I think if we're going to predict here before we leave, I think that, like I said, the Wolves have enough for one game. They have enough for one game.
Going back home, yeah.
I think they pulled this out.
It's gonna be tough. They're gonna Randall's really gonna have to channel his complete inner Knicks Randall outside of the insane, terrible dribbling. Outside of that, he just needs to channel that elite offensive player, all rounder. He can do that, and the other guys can pick it up around him. Like Sumu can have another strong game, and he was having strong games in this series before the breakout. And McDaniels can kind of continue to do his thing, but I think if it goes to Game 7, the Nuggets are going to win this. I think Game 6 is when the Wolves have to get the job done.
They got to win at home. Yeah, it's win at home or lose the series, I think. But again, kudos to the Wolves, man, for them to have pulled out that win without Ant, with him going down, with DiVincenzo going down.
And if you're the Spurs, I think you want the Wolves to get the job done in 6 and not have to deal with Jokic and have to deal with a Spurs team that might be without both Dante DiVincenzo and Anthony Edwards. Yeah, you'll take that.
I mean, I think either way, Wemby doesn't care, man. I think Wemby's looking at this like I get to either beat up on Big Bro and really put it to Gobert, or he gets to face the guy who everyone argues is the best big in the league.
Yeah, I'm sure he's thinking that, but thinking that and it happening are two very different things.
We'll see, man. Wemby's gonna either way. Wemby will have the chance to have a series to remember, whether it's really either neutering a defensive player of the year and just rendering him useless, which I think he could do, or being the better player than Jokic. He has a chance to prove either of those two things in a 7-game series, and I'm sure you'll be excited to do either one.
Yeah, well, Wemby's defense is what would do that. And again, even when he came back, like I mentioned before, it was it's his defensive ceiling. The way he just completely flips the script when he's on the floor defensively is much more impactful than any offense. I think the Spurs can thrive with him on offense, but they can also survive without him. Defensively, he just takes them to levels that no one else can get to in the NBA.
Yeah, man, that block on Denny, I loved it.
There's no way to explain it. It's just insane.
Yeah.
Alien.
But at any rate, that just goes to show, man, that we're gonna have so many more series that's gonna be fun after this first round. First round's a lot of surprises. We'll see how this Magic and Pistons game ends up turning out. Not gonna be a lot of easy outs.
No, and that's what you love to see. You don't want to see the easy outs. You want to see teams battling that maybe are a little bit hurt, maybe are a little bit inexperienced. You look at like the Magic, you look at the 76ers, you look at the Rockets. You love to see these teams battling, but I'm as a LeBron stan and a Knicks fan, I'm just praying and hoping that both teams get the job done. The Lakers get it done tonight, and the Knicks get the job done tomorrow. And then hopefully we get maybe a game 7 out of the Celtics and 76ers. That's my hope for things moving forward. And can the Raptors even surprise the Cavs? That would be fun too. But I think that's going to do it for today's episode. Thanks so much for sticking with us. Remember, we are everywhere on social media at Coast to Coast NBA. And most importantly, remember to take every shot and love every moment.
Peace out.